Hey, 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 this is Natasha Nurse, and I am interviewing the beautiful and talented Raveen Battee. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good, good. So, just so everyone knows why I'm speaking to this bombshell, Raven is a writer, a producer, and all around get shit done biatch. And she self-coined by her, not by me. uh, after a successful career as a stage manager and producer, Raven switched gears and moved to New York with no expectations, just change and pace. Today, she is the COO of Fat Girls Dance and the producer of a new venture, The Naked Podcast. She's currently writing her first play, which will go into production later this year. So, yay. And she's dipping her toe into the plus size modeling world. She's an aggressive, I don't even know what that is, sign file. Could you explain what sign file is? That what you're saying?
Cinephile. So,
Okay, yes, break
yes, it's a person who has a healthy or unhealthy obsession with movies. It depends on how you look at it, but I think it's great.
Oh, okay, fabulous. Okay,
So,
and
it's a fancy way of saying I'm a movie buff.
okay, I am too, but I've yet to have heard that. That's interesting. I definitely want to
Yeah,
talk about that more. Okay, and then you're also a whiskey snob. Now that's interesting, and a Power Ranger enthusiast. And where is
true.
she at? You can find this girl at Manhattan. So, woohoo, Raven! Wow, that is quite the bio.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I guess first, yeah, like tell us all like how you became the woman you are today.
So I would say I am still a work in progress to where I want to be, but I'm definitely a lot further along in the game than I thought I would be. So started as a Californian, living, the typical life of go to sleep, wake up, go to work, go to bed. So I kind of lived that cycle for a long time. And then I connected with Kathleen Meredith, who is my bedrock, roommate, business partner, everything. And she just saw something in me, and that turned into stage managing several theater productions with her. Stage manager, moved into production, decided I wanted to be a producer, and finally ending up in New York. She's the one who convinced me to give it a go, uh, which was really scary because I didn't come here with anything other than a couple of boxes and a couple of suitcases and a dream that I would be having this conversation with you, frankly, being to a place where people would want to talk to me about my story. And here we are.
Wow, that's crazy. So, how long have you been in New York?
2 years, just a little over 2 years.
Wow, okay. And overall, would you say the dream is what you thought it would be so far?
I would say I've never worked harder in my life.
I love that. Yes.
But I've also never lived more than, just these past 2 years have been amazingly hard, but amazingly beautiful in the sense that I didn't ever see myself getting to this place.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Uh, I just it wasn't something that I could even imagine. I thought, you're going to go to New York and you're going to get into your same routine of doing the same thing that you always do, and I I mean, I don't even have the words. It's just one little switch, Fat Girls Dance, just completely 180'd my entire life and catapulted me into this space that I hadn't even dreamed of. So, yeah, I guess it wasn't like I expected at all. The work was hard, but so worth it. Um, yeah, I mean, I could spiel
Wonderful.
on, but
Okay. No, no, no. So yeah, so let's break it out. So first, kind of share with everyone listening what is Fat Girls Dance and what is that movement and what is it, and then tell us also like the new venture of the Naked Podcast.
So in August of 2016, granted, I'll start by saying I moved here just at the edge of 2015. And I
Mm-hmm.
had lived kind of what I thought I would, my same wake up, go to sleep, kind of, go to work routine. And then August 2016, Kathleen and I started a social movement. We wanted to experiment and kind of see what it would look like for non-trained plus size women to learn
Mm-hmm.
complicated choreography and be, posting that every year. And then it just went viral completely unexpectedly. Kathleen and I thought it would just be the two of us dancing by ourselves in a studio. And we've turned it basically into this worldwide movement. And our mission is kind of to trash body image stereotypes through the universal language of dance. So we have squads all over the world. And then we've got different dance groups that we collaborate with. We have individuals that are dancing all over the world and sending us their footage so that we can give those people a platform as well. So together we're just changing the narrative of who fat people are and what they can do and what their stories are. What we're trying to do is live into a future of fearlessness, right? So that's why what we're trying to create. We want to be a part of this space where we're recreating that fearlessness, where there's love, acceptance, and community amongst all women.
Beautiful. I love it. And yes, as a fan of Fat Girls Dance and going to your finale in last August, it is amazing to see how your social movement has such impact and how you are making women of all sizes, but specifically, plus size women, knowing that your bodies can do complicated choreography, that you can enjoy just being you, and it's really amazing. And the fact that you have squads all over the world now, that's really, really cool. Very cool. And now with the Naked podcast, how did that come about?
So actually, it kind of segued. So, we were working on Fat Girls Dance, and then within doing that year of dance, we kind of discovered this kind of unnatural, kind of fundamentally limiting disconnection between women and their bodies, and not just with plus size women, with women of all sizes. And so we wanted to heal that disconnection and kind of advance comfortability, accessibility, inclusivity, and profound self-love, as well as to inspire conversations of awareness and acceptance. So we just, at the end of a practice, you're having all kinds of conversations about, your body. And then when we started branching out and doing research on this, we started realizing that other women were impacted by this as well. And we just wanted to start the conversation on a public platform about how we perceive ourselves and how we can shift that language.
Okay. And so, so you've had a couple of episodes out already. What have you talked about in those episodes?
Yes, so we had a forgiveness and healing episode. That's our latest episode, episode 2. And our first was about healing. So what we had a conversation around was language, so how important language is and what that impact actually has psychologically on you, whether you recognize it or not. So the things that not just what people say outside of you to you, but what you say internally to yourself, how that has actual effects on the body. So it's myself as the producer and Kathleen Meredith and Dr. Stacey Berman, who are the co-hosts. So I like to describe Kathleen as kind of the everyday woman, in the sense that she kind of will put a stance, we'll have a topic, Kathleen will make a stance, and then what Stacey does is she brings in the science of it. So we'll kind of talk about everyday topics that we don't really think, about the impact that they have on us. So the things that you say to yourself, or the things that other people say to you, or the things that you even look at, or, just whether you're conscious or subconsciously having a conversation with your body, she breaks down the science of what that is actually doing to your body. I don't think we really think about that. Actually, I can say most of us probably don't. We just think, I have low self-esteem and, I'll never have X, Y, or Z, but the why kind of behind that.
I love that. And absolutely, I'm a firm believer in that we have to be very mindful of the positive self-talk that we give to ourselves and stopping the negative talk, because I
Yes.
definitely, I hear women will say, things like I'm stupid or I'm fat or I'm this, and it's like absolutely not. You cannot allow yourself to be so mean to yourself. Like we're
Yes.
just inner bullies, like Kathleen says, right? Like that inner bully she is a bad, like beep, like she is not
Yeah.
messing around, right? Like she will come for you every
Yeah.
single day, and you have to
And she'll come
really,
for you really hard.
yeah, oh my gosh, and you have to like fend her off, and you have to say no, god damn it, like you are beautiful and you are amazing and you are capable, and it's a everyday battle. You have to really fight it. Now, do you think, based on the episodes that you've had so far, like is that possible to live a life where women can go one day without saying something negative about themselves?
I think you can live into it. So,
Mhm.
how I like to look at life is as one moment at a time.
Mhm.
So, I find that, and I'll speak from personal experience, when you're having a great day, it might take one wrong move to shut down your whole world or
Mhm.
to make that comment, I'm so stupid. But before that, you were crazy intelligent, right? You were doing all these amazing things. You were feeling really good about yourself. And then all of a sudden, you just weren't. And you can put yourself into a funk. And
Mhm.
so I think the key is we want to get to a place where we can go a whole day without saying anything negative to ourselves. But the
Mhm.
other side of that is that if you do, to check yourself, to go,
Gotcha.
hey, what? Why did you say that? That's so messed up. Why would you say that to yourself? Is that actually true? Mistakes happen, things happen, life happens, and then it's over. That moment is over. It's already
Mhm.
in the past as soon as it happens. But we stick, we stay in it, and we live in it. So I think that's the key. Really, is we want to be working on it, but we also want to be acknowledging it. So normally, what we'll do is you'll say your voice will say you're stupid, and then you'll just go, yeah, you're right. You disagree. You just agree
Mm.
with the voice versus saying, whoa, that's not cool and not true, you
Mhm.
know?
Absolutely. Okay. Now, with how is, like, what's the with the movement that you did with Fat Girls Dance? Is there a similar thing that you feel like the podcast arena you're going to be changing and revolutionizing, not just with the content, but with events, or like what's, do you have things in place for that?
So we don't currently have anything in place for that. I will say that technologically, we're just trying to figure this podcast thing out one day at a time.
Mhm. It is. It's
But
something. Yeah.
yeah. So, but when we brainstorm, we kind of had an idea of. So I'll start by saying that an idea that we wanted to have is having people come in nude for an interview. So the
Mm.
girls are naked when we do the podcast. They're naked. And so when we were kind of talking about what's the name going to be, and okay, we're going to be Naked Podcast because we want people, to just be open and authentic and completely bare. And then we thought, well, what if we actually did this naked?
Hmm.
Actually bare yourself. And so that's what the girls do. So when we film podcasts, or rather when we record, the girls are naked. And we actually pose the question on social media, on Instagram, if you came in and did an interview with us, would you have a problem being naked? And most people actually said no, that they would get naked with us, which I think is friggin' awesome and a sign of the shift that is starting to happen. Um, and so an extension of that is if we started doing public events, that we would go, that the girls would do them topless
Yeah. Wow.
and invite people to get topless with us and just be open, literally.
Wow. That is
Literally reveal yourself.
The inner conservative in me is like, wait, like you mean like really? Like no underwear, no socks, nothing? Like just
Well,
they
I will say if we did public events, it probably would just be topless, not fully naked. But
yeah.
when we record, the girls are naked. But if we invited a guest, they could be topless. They wouldn't have to be fully nude. But
That's intense. Wow.
yeah,
Oh my. I hope everyone
we're going
listening,
there.
yeah, really thinks about would you have a conversation naked with strangers, people you've never met? That's interesting. Huh. Wow. Okay. Are you producing it naked as well?
No,
Oh, okay.
I will say as producer, I have a freedom to be clothed.
Okay.
But I
Yes.
will say,
Yeah.
what's something else that's really interesting when we did our launch party, we offered as an option to take nude photographs because
Mhm.
our marketing is nude. We're nude in our photography, and so we thought it would be a cool thing to offer to people when they come to our launch event.
Mhm.
And when we had the backstage conversation, we thought, we're going to have to talk to these women and really get them comfortable and into their body and why it's okay for you to be naked, or if you really want to do this, don't let it be fear-based. And we had all these conversations around what it was going to look like, which is maybe 3 people would want to do it.
Mhm.
95% of the women at that event took photographs.
Oh,
We
wow.
had to turn people away
Wow.
because we didn't have time for all of them to go. Again, I mean, mind blown onto the floor. We were just shocked. We were supposed to do a forum
Mhm.
at the end of the event. We had saved 1 hour for us to do a forum where we would have a moderator ask questions to myself, Kathleen, and Stacy, but the photography was so popular, and because the point of what we're doing is to create a space for women to feel comfortable with their body, we just said, you
Mm.
know what? Forget it. We're going to ride this out. We're going to lean into the nudity because
Mm.
everybody is just wanting to take their clothes off. And it was
Wow.
really beautiful,
That is
completely
incredible.
unexpected.
Mm. I mean, thinking about it, I don't know. Do you feel like people can have a different conversation naked than clothed?
That's a question that we had someone ask us. So they
Mhm.
asked, "Do you guys feel different, when you talk to each other? Do you feel like it's a different conversation?"
Mhm.
And to be perfectly honest, not really, but I think it's because Stacy and Kathleen have been doing this work for a long time, and
Mhm.
I think that it informs on their ability to be naked and still be able to say, metaphorically speaking, naked things, authentic things.
Mhm.
Um, but I dare say that if it was someone else, it could potentially. I think, they say people feel comfortable sharing a secret because you shared a secret first.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'll say, for example, when Kathleen went in and did her first set of nude photos, our photographer went topless. She said,
Mm.
if I take my top off, is that going to make you feel more comfortable? Is that going to create, a space where you would feel better about being naked? And it totally worked. So I
Mm.
think that that's the little trick there, is that when other people come into the space, you just want to make them feel so comfortable that being naked doesn't mean anything. That you're just, if I get naked, will you get naked? Sure, and let's talk. But that it actually doesn't mean anything in the space, you
Interesting.
know?
That is so fascinating. I mean, I definitely like I grew up with my mom was very comfortable with just like constantly getting naked and stuff. So, like I'm definitely very comfortable to seeing other bodies. naked, and myself, and like if a designer was like, hey, I need you to, just get naked and try on something, that I wouldn't think twice about. But the proposition of, hey, do you want to have a conversation naked, that actually, it makes me pause, because it's like, but why? Like,
Why
why?
not?
That's so fascinating. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I guess the only thing I would say in my mind is, if you want to be honest truth, it's just like, is your naked body as it is it, as as the armpits done, like, is everything done so that
And
you,
see, this is
yeah.
part of the conversation, right? So I think what you said there was really interesting. If you were working,
Mm-hmm.
in the model, because you're not really thinking, everything's
Yeah.
happening so fast. Get naked, put this on, do this, do that. Everything's happening so fast. But if you could just be still
Mm-hmm.
and naked, what would the difference in the environment be?
Yeah.
Would the different feeling be? So, do you start feeling judged? Do you start thinking about if your armpits are shaved? Do you start
Yeah.
thinking about, is my vagina properly landscaped?
Yeah.
You start thinking about all these things, and that's what we want to get away from. You know,
Mm.
it's I've as a woman who has a lot of hair, I've had to come to terms with, hey, you've got more hair than other women,
Mm-hmm.
but as a mammal, that's kind of par for the course as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some hair on you, and we've created this kind of system of men are hairy and women are hairless. But that's
Mm.
not
Yeah.
real. We
Mm-hmm.
just created that and then we live into it. So, I mean, I've seen men with armpit hair that you could, do cornrows out of, but that's acceptable.
Yeah.
And how dare you have, a little bit of stubble on under your arms? It makes you
Mhm.
less of a woman?
Very great points. Absolutely. It's well, it's a normalization, like you said, right? Like, we as a society
Exactly.
have made women feel ashamed of something that naturally exists on us, as well as our male counterparts, and human beings, right? We're all that's a part of the course of being a human, right? So what
Yes.
do we do? So that's great. Yeah, I hope everyone will definitely, I'll, tag you guys so everyone can check out your episodes. And then where do you guys shoot it and record?
So we're actually in Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
We shoot in a little office space. We are very guerrilla style.
Mm-hmm.
So it's us and a couple of laptops and a microphone.
Love it. Love it.
That's
Okay.
it.
So outside of talking about just being naked, we definitely you blew my mind right there. Oh my gosh. I would say, with everything that you're doing, how has your journey been affected as a woman and as a person of color?
So I'll start by saying that you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, so what comes to my mind reflexively is that being a woman hasn't actually had any impact on my career at all. But what we're starting to see, now that people are taking a look, is these discrepancies in the workplace and in different public arenas. So I don't think it's impossible that I've been impacted, but I'm so indoctrinated that I don't actually even know that it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So there could have been a missed opportunity because I didn't speak up for myself, because as a woman I didn't think that I could, or that somebody didn't like something that I was wearing, or that I wear my hair natural and they didn't find that acceptable. So, we're so into this system that I don't think that we always see the effects. And I do also think that people who are imposing those ideologies onto other people see the impact as well.
Okay, gotcha. So you've never felt like, you were not necessarily privy to certain promotions, or that your voice was less heard, or any type of like direct, you feel like you haven't had a direct negative effect of your narrative as a woman or a person of color?
As a person of color, I would say growing up in California, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really come face to face with a lot of blatant kind of unapologetic racism or discrimination. But I'm
Okay.
also a light-skinned black woman, so that has its own set of privileges given the colorism that we have in our society.
Mm-hmm.
I have experienced some backlash or distancing um, from people within my race, because there's a perception that I'm bourgeois or that I think I'm better than other people because of my skin color, but
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't been so fundamental that it's affected my career as it stands right now. And I'm
Wow.
also kind of growing. If we want to use a flower metaphor,
Mm-hmm.
I've planted my seeds and I'm trying to grow them now. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who's to say what the future holds? Knock on wood, we'll be in a place where that won't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so far so good.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So now why we're speaking today is because we want to celebrate you as a Sister on Fire, because Sisters on Fire is first a play that was formerly known as Diary of a Mad Black Feminist by Marsha McNair and Anissa Moore. And they've kept this train going for many years now. And it's, as Sisters on Fire, we've had sold out performances. People are really responding to the idea of what is the Black woman experience in this country and what does that look like in theater. And we wanted to keep the conversation going online so that we can not only talk about issues that women of color and Black women are specifically facing, but also celebrate you and our community for the activism and the fearlessness and the unapologetic badassness. And so my first question would be then for this is, how would you define a Sister on Fire?
So what comes to mind is somebody who just is getting it done, is
Mm-hmm.
on the ground floor doing what needs to be done to make it happen, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're a housewife, that's, your kids are taken care of, the house is clean, the laundry's done, you're just knocking, you've got your to-do list and you're just knocking it out. If you're a writer, getting your hustle on, or a model or whatever that it thing is that you just tackle it head on
I
and
love
get
it.
shit done.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Now, who were women in your life that did that for you?
So, the first woman that comes to mind, because she's one of the women that got me to New York, is Kathleen Meredith.
Mm-hmm.
She's my roommate, she's my best friend, she's my business partner, as I mentioned, and both personally and professionally, she's impacted me professionally speaking. Both she and another friend of mine, Jen Schwartz, got me into theater.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they gunned for me to get to New York, and then I got here. Personally, I've been, working to kind of shift the paradigms that I hold for myself, how I look, how I feel, how I think, what makes me me. And Kathleen's just been tireless in trying to show me that side of my life and myself that I didn't think could exist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, someone I didn't think I could ever be, which is someone who could take over the world. So
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely say that she's been intrinsic to the Raven movement.
Aw.
Um, she's one of the most like magnanimous people I know. I'll use that word because when I think of that word, it makes me think of her, and because she enjoys using words that have more than 3 syllables in everyday conversation.
Yes, a true writer, a true storyteller. Usually, that's very nice. Okay, so now I guess my last two questions would be first, when it comes to other women listening to this right now, and they are struggling with figuring out, what is their purpose here? What are they going to do? How are they going to let their light shine and figure out how to conquer a fear so that they too can be a part of this fearless movement? What would you say to her?
What would I say? Okay. So I would acknowledge that the biggest challenge that we have as a people is fear.
Mm-hmm.
The plus side is that it's a common challenge. So there's a plethora of information out there on how you can combat that.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is that it is an all-consuming thing. And so I can speak for myself. For me, it's finances and worrying that my voice is ultimately going to be inconsequential to the world as a whole. So when we're talking about finances, you want to make sure that you're budgeting for your life and for your hustle. So it's easy to get caught up on spending on things that don't run, they don't mean anything in your bigger picture. So you want to sit down and you want to map out what are the things that you need to move forward. If that's headshots, if that's a life coach, if that's writing classes, if that's a website domain, because those can be expensive. You want to figure out where you can pull money from. And I can say for myself that I never saw myself being able to fund any kind of project because I just created in my mind that I couldn't afford it. And I had to really take a look and start shifting things around of what do I want with my bigger picture and what can I get rid of right now to pay for that thing that's going to push me into a place where I'm not going to have to worry about that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so for that, I would definitely say sit down, take a look at that budget, and make it happen, girl. Then I would say, insofar as your voice is concerned, so as an aspiring writer, or really as an aspiring anything, you can get into the habit of comparing yourself and using other people's accomplishments as a sign that you shouldn't, you should just quit. Don't even bother. Whatever you want to say has already been said. It's already been done. In all its glory and splendor, you couldn't do it any better. So whether that's true or not is a matter of perspective. And the bottom line is none of those voices are your voice. So you're the author of your own life. Whatever happens next is completely up to you. And there is literally no one exactly like you unless you have a clone. Right?
Yes.
It's literally impossible for anybody to sound like Raven because they're not Raven. They're not me. There's an impossibility that anyone can sound like Natasha. It's actually not possible because there's only one Natasha Nurse. There's Natasha Nurse.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
There's no one else. And I can say for myself personally, if I'm being completely transparent, which I totally am, wide open, it's a fear that I am still working through. I work through it every day. But when you keep positive, like-minded people around you that raise you up, you just can't help but live into, any possibility, right? So I've done things that I've never even considered as a part of my reality, and then in the span of 2 years, I've created this cocktail, of amazing people and personal work that I've been doing on myself, and that's brought me where I am right now, talking to Natasha Nurse.
Oh, thank you. You're amazing. And your voice is amazing. I hope everyone listening just loves the lusciousness of your voice. And guys, if you will see her pictures as well, stunning, and just she's just the full package. I love it. Love you. Oh my gosh. Yes. But I agree with you. I think that it is a journey. I don't think no one says, oh, tomorrow, I'm my most confident self, right? I think every day you have to fight through the negative voices and the what ifs. And I would say the biggest thing I've learned as well is that, as a child who was riddled of the low self-esteem and self-hatred and dealing with, struggling identity issues, Black identity issues, that now in my most confident version of myself, I would say the biggest thing that I did was exactly what you talked about, which is, being in tune with yourself, going and making sure that you are only spending time with people that not only make you feel amazing, but expect nothing less than amazingness from you. right, that they expect for you to do what you need to do. Because if people don't have high expectations in you, then you can, kind of be defeatist and not rise to the occasion. And then also consuming positivity. If you're working, if you stay busy doing your work and doing your passions and networking and doing social media, like you literally just don't have time to sit and wonder why you're not good enough. Like you just don't have the time, right? And I think that
Exactly.
really forget that. And it's like, and people do it for parenting, which is, smart. Like if the idea of having a child, I would say, oh, how am I going to keep my child engaged and not, get caught up doing bad stuff? She or he will be too busy going to the spelling bee and learning how to code and learning Mandarin and learning how to sword fight and becoming a Harry Potter wizard. Like he or she will be so busy that they don't have time to be like, oh, I want to kind of be a crackhead, right? Like you just don't have time to do that. I think that's like, it's literally, you have to live your life, live into it, like you're saying, and listen to things like this and people like you who, are fearless and are just, inspiring everyone with your daily lives. So do you have any like announcements or things that you want to share with everyone so that they can learn more about what's upcoming for Fat Girls Dance or the Naked Podcast, or things that you're also working on outside of that?
Yes. So I'll say follow us on Instagram at A Naked Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We just dropped our second. Wow. You see, this is how I'm trying to think of podcast terminology and I can't. I was going to say audio clip. Yeah, which that's so lame, right? We just dropped our second audio clip. Lame. We just dropped our second episode.
Yeah.
So we're on the website barelynakedtruth.com. You can also find us on SoundCloud, Google Play. We're trying to work it out with iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to get on there. We're trying to be across all platforms. So definitely check out the website, and that'll give you all updates on that. Woohoo! Fat Girls Dance at Fat Girls Dance Movement.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Girls Dance Movement. Still a thing. Send us your videos. You want to start a squad, email raven@fatgirlsdance.com.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to take over the world. So if there's a chapter in your state, but it's not near you, we'll start another one. If there isn't one in your state, we'll start one with you.
I love it.
That's where we are for those two projects. Both of them trying to take over the world. We're trying to take over.
Absolutely. Not trying. You successfully are, right? You're just living it.
Yes. Living into. We are taking over the world, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I started working on a play, and then Fat Girls Dance happened, and then A Naked Podcast happened.
Yeah.
Reconvening in 2018. So I'm working on a play called Garage Sale. Currently, the first act is complete. Working on the second act right now, and then we're going to do ideally a stage reading. Details TBD, but please be on the lookout for that. You can find that at Raveen Battee. That's my Instagram.
Okay.
Find all the details about what's going on with me, and yes, trying to dip these toes in modeling.
I love it. Well, yes, the modeling world will love you and your beautifulness, and yeah, I'm excited about the play as well. So, do you want to do like a little tidbit of what it's about?
Yeah. So, Garage Sale is the working title right now. It's about two sisters who have just had a death in the family. One of them lives upstate New York. That's where they're originally from. One lives in Manhattan. And it all kind of takes place in one room back in the original family house, and just kind of dealing with the breakdown of what happens after you've had a passing family member. Twist, it's a horror play. So it's kind of a psychological thriller play. Started to do that because I was having a conversation with Kathleen, and I just haven't really seen any plays of that genre, and it's a genre that I've always been interested in on the movie side of things. I'm trying to bring that to the stage, and we'll see what happens. So I don't want to give away any plot twists, but
that
there
is
one.
Very exciting. Wow, it's like like, I love, it's like inspired. I love horror. I love that genre as well. Get Out was crazy cool.
Yes.
And every year I watch the Michael Myers Halloween series. Like I love death and gore, which is, that says something. I don't know. But
I was gonna say, you're preaching to the choir. What does that say about us? I don't know.
I know. Listen, life is complicated, man.
Yes.
Very complicated. But I love that. That is exciting. I can't wait to hear more. And I know everyone else is going to be really excited. Very interesting. Yes, yes, yes. So please share as much as you can on social about that, and so that we can all share that and like and follow and all that good stuff. So thank you, Raven, for being amazing and such an inspirational person to speak with. You guys, you're making my day. I can't even, like, right now. So amazing.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited
Yeah,
that I'm making your day, and we just want to make everyone's day.
absolutely.
That's the dream.
Thank you so much, darling. All right, so I'll talk to you soon.